Hey there, I'm going to get started. This is Combat Painter, and speaking to you from Atlanta. It's deGrom 2.0 replay, and it's game 14. He was 4-1 at this point. In our replay, he's 10-1, dominating. He can't lose a game. I mean, it's unfathomable that that he went 10-9 in reality, because this is his second replay and he's dominant. And but lately he had a tough outing in his last start when he faced the Yankees in Citi Field, and the Yankees knocked him up a bit for 7 hits and 4 runs in 6 innings and gave up 2 walks. But he did strike out 11, so he had good stuff. They just got a hold of a couple of pitches, and more than a couple, right? But here we're about to start this game. It's Mike Soroka, or Soroka, for Atlanta against Michael Conforto. And here goes. We're playing Payoff pitch. Love this game. If I showed you the fringe players down to down to the guy with 1 at bat, it would blow your mind. I'm gonna try to get. I'm gonna charge this, so hopefully I'm gonna try to move that cable out of the way. I just realized that my phone is almost out of battery just when the game starts. So we're gonna kind of push this to the side a bit here, and there we go. There we go. We're good. All right, so here goes. Mike Soroka, he was 2-1 with a 3.51 ERA in 5 starts against Michael Conforto. And let's see what we are at. So we got an 8 and a 95. So an 8 is going to be a tough. A 95 is going to be a fly ball right field. Keeping score using iScore over here on my right. Fly ball right field, 1 out. Pretty warm day here in San Antonio. And that's going to be a 7 off Soroka in play. And it's a 44, and in play, Todd Frazier, the batter. Todd Frazier, Mets third baseman. So in play, 44 is out of his hit range and into his out range. It's a ground ball to the first baseman. And as Freeman takes it himself. Next is going to be Brandon Nimmo. And that's an 8. That's a tough 0-2. A tough 0-2 is a strikeout. So Nimmo goes down swinging. And up comes the Atlanta Braves. It's an excited crowd here in Atlanta. It's going to be deGrom versus Ozzie Albies. That's a 7. That's going to be in play. A 98. An in play 98 takes us to the out range, and that's a fly ball lifted to right field. 1 away. Dansby Swanson, Atlanta shortstop, and it's a 7 again in play, and it's a 35. A in play 35 is a line drive base hit center field for Swanson. So he's on there. On at first, 1 out. Next is Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman batted 309 from against left-handers and 309 versus right-handers. And that's a 3. That's a tough pitch, 55. Let's see what Freeman can do with it. And that's nothing. Goes into his out range, and that's a ground ball back to the pitcher, and that's going to be a double play. 1-6-3 double play, and deGrom's out of the inning. Mike Soroka, right-hander, pitching for Atlanta against Jay Bruce. That's a 10. Soroka is in play. It's a 37. In play 37 is a line drive base hit for Jay Bruce. So Jay Bruce, not a base stealing threat, is on at first. Now I'm running some of these games more often than I normally do simply because I don't see anybody else broadcasting any other games. I guess they're on vacation, so I'm filling in that gap for guys that are home and want to spend a little bit of time watching these. I know I like to do that. I watch a lot of the games. And that's a 5 tough Soroka versus Plawecki, 57. A tough 57. Oh, it just missed being a base hit. And it goes into his out, and that's a shot. One hopper hit to Camargo over to Freeman. And that's a 5-3 putout. Actually, I didn't check. I didn't check for the double play. He may go to second, and he does. Goes to second, back to first, and that's a double play. So we're going to run that again. Ground out. I forgot about the runner at first. 5-4-3 double play. 2 outs now. And it's Dominic Smith. I believe this may be his first appearance as a Met. Or maybe not. My memory fails me. I'd have to look that up. I'd have to get the crew back here to check it out. 6. Patient. 0-7. A patient 0-7 against Dominic Smith is a walk. Base on balls. So Dominic Smith is the second base runner in the inning for the Mets. The first one was wiped out by the double play. And it's Luis Guillorme, left-handed swinging infielder, known more for his glove than his hitting. And that's a 10, and that's going to be in play. A 19, an in-play 19 is going to be a long single into the gap in center field. Runner on first advances 1 base with 2 outs. Who is it? Dominic Smith. We're going to let him go to third with 2 outs. So a single. Runner advances to third, and you have first and third now. And it's Ahmed Rosario, the 8th place hitter. A 7, that's in play, and that's a 35, an in-play 35. That's a single, hard grounder into left field. Runner at first advances 2 bases, and Dominic Smith is going to score, so it's an RBI single. RBI single by wait a second. Oh, by Ahmed Rosario. And with 2 outs, runners on first and third, it's going to be Jacob deGrom. He's a 5 hitting pitcher, number 5, so he would be looking at this column here on the left. That's an 11, that's an in-play. And an 87, an in-play 87 goes into the outs, and that's a ground ball hit right at Swanson. He flips to Albies at second for the force. And that retires the Mets, but the Mets pick up 1 run on 2 hits, I believe. And they lead at 1-0 going to after 1.5, going to the bottom of the second. So deGrom is going to face Markakis, Suzuki, and Charlie Culberson. Markakis leads it off. And that's an 8 off deGrom. That's tough, and that's a tough 14. That's a strikeout. One down. Suzuki, a 7 in play, a 37. A 37 in play is a single. Suzuki on at first with a single. Next is going to be Charlie Culberson, batted .275 versus righties with 9 home runs. That's a 10. That's a tough pitch. 21, and that's a strikeout. Culberson down on strikes for out number 2. And it's Ender Enciarte, an 11. That's a ballpark. A 15 from a lefty. That's going to be Wheelhouse. Wheelhouse versus a righty. A 1/26. A 1/26 is out of here. Let's see. And that's a 28. Oh, just missed it. But that's going to be a double. And that's going to be driven down the right field line. Runners advance 2 bases. Kurt Suzuki, if he's a 6, he'll score. Let's take a quick look at what he. Where is Suzuki here? Suzuki's a 5, so he's going to hold up at third base. Just missed a home run, hit off the top of the wall. Played well by Conforto in center field. And next is Johan Camargo. So second and third with 2 outs. Braves threatening. See if deGrom can get out of trouble here. We got to get Camargo. Next is the pitcher. You pitch to Camargo, a .272 hitter, or you pitch to the pitcher. And I think they're going to walk Camargo in this situation, even though it's a little bit early to start walking guys and loading up the bases. But I think it's a good bet here. So we're going to intentionally walk Camargo to face the pitcher and get out of this 2-out jam. It's a 10. That's a tough 54. And Soroka is a 5, just like deGrom, and a 54 is in a tough is a strikeout. So good managing. And the Mets are coming to bat here in the top of the third. 1-0, Mets lead it. It's going to be Soroka versus Michael Conforto. Conforto flied out in his last at bat. And that's an 8. That's a tough pitch. 27. A tough 27 is a strikeout. Conforto down on strikes. Next is Todd Frazier. And that's a 5. That's tough off Soroka's card. And that's a 16. A tough 16 is a strikeout. Curveball gets him. And next is Brandon Nimmo. He struck out swinging. And that's a 6. A 6 is patient. A 98. Nimmo has a very good on-base percentage, over 400. And a 98 is going to be a hit by pitch. So Nimmo always manages to get on base somehow. Does it again. 2 outs. Jay Bruce, the pitch from Soroka. It's a 7. That ball is put in play. It's an 0-5, an in play 0-5. That's going to be a double. And that's going to score Nimmo. RBI double. Oh, let's go back. Oh, no, go back again. In play, double, RBI. Jay Bruce with a 2-out double scoring Nimmo, who was hit by a pitch. And it's Kevin Plawecki. And that's a 5. That's going to be tough. A tough 94 goes into the out range. And that's a fly ball, lifted high fly to left field. Culberson there makes the catch. It's going to be Ozzie Albies. Ozzie Albies against Jake deGrom. Score is 2-0 Mets here in the bottom of the third. It's a 4 off deGrom. That's a tough pitch. A tough 38 is a strikeout. Swanson singled. He's 1 for 1 in his last at bat. And that's a 7. That's an in-play 63. An in-play 63 takes us to the outs. And that's a fly ball lifted to right. And Jay Bruce puts that one away. Next is Freddie Freeman with 2 outs. Freddie Freeman grounded out in his first at bat. And that's a 7. That's in play. And that's a 93. And in play 93 is a ground ball hit right at Guillorme over to Smith. 4-3. And we go to the top of the fourth. In the top of the fourth, it's going to be Dominic Smith leading it off against Soroka. Mike Soroka gets fatigued in the 5th, so we can take him till the 5th. And maybe till the 6th if he hasn't given up more than three runs. A 7 in play, a 52. An in play 52 is a ground ball to the third baseman. And that's Camargo over to Freeman, 5-3, 1 out. Next is Luis Guillorme, who singled in his earlier at bat. And that's a 12. That's going to be ballpark. That's trouble. 46, a lefty. 46 is going to take us into the in play. We're going to pull a card for that number, 74. In play 74 takes us to the out range. That's a fly ball lifted to center field. Back goes Inciarte running. Nice catch by Inciarte. Man, he got a good jump on that ball. Hit hard. Just wasn't enough. And Inciarte, a stellar performer out in center field, known for his Gold Glove abilities. Mike Soroka to Ahmed Rosario. Rosario is 1 for 1. And that's a 9. A 9 is a tough, a 0-5. A tough 0-5. 0-5 is a swing and a miss. And that's all for the Mets. It's going to be deGrom leading it off when the Mets come back. Right now it's Markakis, Suzuki, and Culberson. Markakis is 0 for 1. He struck out in his last at bat versus deGrom. And that's a 9. That's a patient, a 0-5. Patient 0-5 is ball 4. Markakis walks. That's an 8. That's a tough pitch. 0-2. Tough pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Suzuki down on strikes. 1 out. Here in the bottom of the fourth. It's 2-0 Mets up. And that's a 10. A tough 10. 44. It's going to be a strikeout. Culberson strikes out. And it's Inciarte. 6. That's tough. 59. 50. A tough 59. It's going to go into the out range. And that's a ground ball with 2 outs. And that's going to be Smith by himself. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was Smith, Dominic Smith by himself for out number 3. Jacob deGrom is going to be leading it off against Mike Soroka. We're in the top of the 5th inning. It's 2-0 Mets. And that's a 7 in play, a 41. And in play 41 to deGrom is going to be a ground ball to the first baseman. 1 out. And that looks like a ballpark 71. A ballpark 71 Conforto left side is going to take us into the in play. Let's pull a card to see that number. It's a in play 68. And that's going to take us into the out range. And that's going to be a ground ball to short. Swanson over to Freeman. 2 down. The pitch, it's a 7. It's in play 70. In play 70 is going to be a ground ball at second base. Albies flips to Freeman for out number 3. We're in the bottom of the 5th now. The Braves are going to bring up Camargo, the pitcher spot. Camargo, the pitcher spot. And then the top of the order with Albies. It's 2-0 Mets here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Here's the pitch. It's an 8. That's tough. A 96. A tough 96 is a fly ball to right. Pitcher spot here in the... He's already gone 5, so you know what? I'm going to pinch hit for him. I'm going to bring up this game to see who played in this game. Who pinch hit right early. I usually do this beforehand, but I'm doing it right now. And for the Braves who are at home at SunTrust Park, who pinch hit Burgess and Tucker. Peter Burgess, he's going to hit for the pitcher, and then we're going to get pitcher. Okay, here goes. Peter Borges. I think I got that right finally. Here's the pitch. It's an 8. That's a tough pitch. A 90. A 90 in the tough area takes us to a ground ball to the shortstop, Rosario. Rosario up with it over to Smith. Low, but Smith scoops it up. And we go to Albies now. 2 out. And it's a 6. That's tough, and it's a 72. A tough 72 takes us to the outs. And again, a ground ball. Rosario in, throws on the run, and gets him by a step. And we go to the top of the 6th. It's 2-0 Mets. New pitcher for Atlanta is going to be A.J. Minter, a left-hander. Don't have him on the roster, so I will have to write him in. Doesn't take more than a second. A.J. Minter with an E. Yes, Minter. He's a lefty, throws lefty. And bats lefty as well. Doubt he's going to bat. But he's in there now. So Soroka's out. And it's Brandon Nimmo leading it off here in the top of the 6th. It's a 2-0 Met lead. Playing payoff pitch. And that's a 10. Patient, an 85. A patient 85. Nimmo, who has a very, very good on-base percentage, but not good enough against lefties. It ends at 81, and then it takes us to the fly ball. Lifts a fly ball to center field. Inciarte a couple of steps to his left and makes the catch. Out number 1. Jay Bruce. And that's a 5. That's going to be ballpark, a 38. A lefty 38 goes into in play. In play, number 68. In play 68 versus a lefty. It's going to take us into the out range. A ground ball to Swanson. Up with it. Over to Freeman. 2 away. and it's Plawecki. 8 is tough. 48, tough 48 is a tough 48 is a strikeout against lefties. Got to keep on repeating to myself that it's a lefty he's facing. You don't see very many of those, but it makes a pretty big difference for some players. Not for guys like Freeman, who hit exactly the same versus righties and versus lefties. So you're going to have Danby Swanson against deGrom here in the bottom of the 6th. Swanson is singled and flied out, and he hits 246 versus righties and 212 versus lefties. That's an 8. That's a tough pitch on deGrom's card. That's a 74, a tough 74. Takes us to a one hopper to Guillorme. Guillorme playing second base, usually a third baseman, flips it to Smith, one away. Here's the pitch from deGrom. It's a tough pitch, 75. It's going to take us again into the out range, and that's a ground ball to Rosario. Rosario handles it easily, 2 down. And Nick Markakis with 2 outs. Pitch from deGrom, 5, tough, 64. A tough 64 takes us into a ground ball, pulled down the line, but Frazier scoops it and over to first for out number 3. So it's 1, 2, 3. And the Mets are coming to bat. Mets are going to bring up Dom Smith, left-handed hitting first baseman. A.J. Minter, the pitcher in there for the southpaw for the Braves here in the top of the 7th. Pretty good game, 2-0 Mets. And that's a 10. That's a 10. That's a patient 69. Patient 69 takes us to a ground ball to short. Swanson up with it and throws out Smith, who was hustling down that line. Shows that he wants to stay on the club. He's been up and down all season long. Luis Guillorme. Guillorme is singled and flied out. He's 1 for 2. The pitch from Minter, 12. That's defense. I'm going to pull out a card and see whose defense. It's an error, potential error by the shortstop. But I know a 72 anywhere down the line is not going to be an error, so I'm not going to even look at it. It's going to be an out, and it's going to be a 7 out. And a 7 out is a ground ball. Swanson to first, 2 away. And it's Ahmed Rosario who singled and struck out swinging. Here's the pitch from Minter, 6. That's a tough pitch, 82. A tough 82 takes us to the out range, and that's a fly ball lifted to center. And Ciarte there, and makes the catch. It's going to be Suzuki leading it off in the bottom of the 7th for the Braves. This is probably the last inning for deGrom, being that he pitched only 7 innings in this game in actuality, and I try to keep him around the same so I don't deviate all that much. Unless they have something really, really, really spectacular going, like a no-hitter or something, then I'll run it through. It's going to be Suzuki. Kurt Suzuki, who singled and struck out. Going to be leading it off for the Braves. The Mets lead it 2-0. And that's a 6. That's a tough 38. Tough 38 takes us into the out range, and that's popped up to the right side. Guillorme calling for it. Makes the out. Culberson struck out twice. And that's an 8. Tough pitch, 43, a tough 43. And he takes strike 3 looking. Third time he struck out. And Joan Camargo, 1 for 2. He's doubled. I think he has an RBI double. And that's a 4. That's a tough pitch. 11, tough 11. That's a swing and a miss. Strike 3. We go to the top of the 8th. New York versus Minter's still in there. Let me double check when Minter came in. Maybe his second inning and his third inning, and it is. So I'm gonna have to pull him. He's only allowed to go 2 innings, so I'm gonna pull him. Let's see who else pitched in this game. It was Minter and Winkler. Excuse me, Winkler. There we go. So Winkler's in there. He's going to be a right-hander. Dan Winkler. And Winkler was 4-0 with a 3.43 ERA and 69 innings pitched. And we're going to have a pinch hitter for deGrom. Pinch hitter for deGrom. And then we're going to see, let's see who we're going to see. Freeman, a lefty. We're going to see Blevins for the Mets. Blevins and Familia are both warming up. So we're going to see, that's it for deGrom. He goes 7. Allows 3 hits and no runs. See if the Mets can hang on for him. And as a pinch hitter for the Mets, we're going to see Jose Bautista. He's always fun to watch, just for the good old days. Oh, my cards went flying to the ground. Okay, pick those up. It's nice when all your cards go flying. All right, so Batista's going to be hitting. And some cards, but no big deal. All right, so Batista going to come in here, bat for deGrom. So deGrom, we're going to pull deGrom. See what we can find. After the cards went flying, it was 52 pickup. Blevins, there he is. Got beat up a little bit there. So we're going to put him in there underneath so we know he's there. And Batista's going to bat. I'm going to Jose Bautista against Dan Winkler. Here's the pitch to Bautista. That's going to be a 6 off Winkler, and that's tough. An 86, a tough 86, takes us to a ground ball hit at Swanson. Swanson up with it over to first. 1 away. Michael Conforto's flat out and struck out and grounded out. He's 0 for 3. And that's going to be a 9. A 9 is a tough, a 0-5. A tough 0-5 is a strikeout. So Conforto strikes out. And next is going to be Todd Frazier. And that's going to be a 5, a tough 5, 84. 84 takes us into the outrange ground ball to Swanson. To his left, fires it to first, and that's all she wrote. 3 up, 3 down for the Mets. So the Mets are going to have Blevins on the mound. He's a left-hander, primarily to face Freeman. Although it doesn't really make much of a difference. We're going to look a little bit more closely to see if it does make a difference. Let's take a look. Oh, it's Camargo. Camargo and a pinch hitter. Okay, all right. I don't know why I misread the, it was Batista, it was deGrom face Winkler. Okay, Inciarte. Okay, I don't know. I misread who was up. Anyway, Blevins is up. Camargo's a switch hitter, and it's a little bit worse against left-handed pitching, so it actually worked out for us. Okay, so Blevins on the mound for the Mets. Mets lead it 2-0. It's the bottom of the 8th. Braves up. They're going to bring up Camargo, a pinch hitter for Winkler, and Albies. And that's a 6. That's tough. A tough 82 against a lefty. A tough 82 against a lefty is going to be a fly ball center field. One away. Ender Enciarte. I'm sorry. That's wrong. Hold on. He already batted. So it's going to be the pitcher spot, and we're going to see a pinch hitter here. Going to see a pinch hitter. We're going to face Tucker, Preston Tucker. So Preston Tucker is going to bat for the pitcher. He's a left-hander. And I believe it's what they have. I mean, normally they would bring in a right-hander here. I don't know that... who would they have who's a right-hander? Burgess already pinch hit. Let's see who else they have. I don't know that Ronnie... Oh, Tyler Flowers. We're going to bring in Tyler Flowers. Excuse me. We're bringing a righty. Tyler Flowers. So let's go back, undo what we did. Bring in Tyler Flowers. Oh, no, I'm going to undo that one again. We're going to cancel that. Even though I don't like to pinch hit the catcher. You know, I don't like to pinch hit the only other catcher. It's a 2-0 game. And it could get tied, and I will potentially need that catcher. So you know what? We're going to go back to Preston Tucker, the lefty, versus the lefty. All right, Preston Tucker, the batter. And that's a 7. That's a tough pitch. A 68 versus a lefty. That's going to take us into the out range, and it's a ground ball to Rosario. And 2 down. And it's Albies. He already batted. Pitcher card is out. There he goes. Albies versus Blevins. Albies batting from the right side versus Blevins. And that's an 8. That's ballpark. And that's a 10. Albies batting from the right side. He's going to take it into his wheelhouse versus a left-handed pitcher. It's 1-39. That ball is gone. And it's a 16. That's a deep drive to center field. Conforto goes back to the track, to the wall, looks up. It's out of here. Albies with a round tripper connects off Blevins, who's known to give up the gopher ball. And it's a 2-1 ball game now. And it's Dansby Swanson. And we are going to bring in the Mets closer. The Mets closer. Actually, you know what? The Mets closer went, now that I'm thinking about it, he went on the disabled list today. So we're going to bring in Bob Gazelman. Bob Gazelman is the one that's next in line for the Mets. Bobby Gazelman going to act as the closer for the Mets in this tight game. It's a 2-1 game here. Bobby Gazelman, pretty good season. Not really. 428, 6-3 record, 4.28 ERA. And he's going to face Dansby Swanson. The bottom of the 8th. It's a 2-1 game. 2 outs. And it's a 6. That's in play. A 0-2. And in play 0-2 is going to be a line shot that splits the gap in center field. And that's going to be a stand-up double for Swanson. So Swanson hits a double off Gazelman. And he's at second base with the tying run. And next is going to be Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman, the most dangerous batter the Braves have. And he's up against Gazelman, a right-hander. See what happens here. That's an 8. That's patient. And that's an 11. A patient 11 versus a right. He's going to be a base on ball. So Gazelman was very, very careful pitching to Freeman and ended up walking him. No harm, no foul, but you have another pretty dangerous hitter, particularly versus right-handers. He batted .304 with 10 home runs and 26 doubles versus right-handers. Nick Markakis. So there's 2 outs, runners on first and second. The tying run is at second, and Dansby Swanson. It's a 2-1 Met ball game. Here's the pitch, and it's a 6. That's in play versus Gazelman. A 67, an in-play 67 versus a right. He's going to take us into the out range, and that's a hard hit grounder right at Frazier. Frazier up with it across the diamond, and that's out number 3. So the Braves squander a great opportunity, and now it's we go to the top of the ninth. Top of the ninth. Winkler's out. Winkler's out, and let's see who we have. Vizcaíno. This is their closer, who is available right now. Vizcaíno is going to close out this game. Vizcaíno had 16 saves in 39 games with a 2.11 ERA and a 2-2 record. And it's going to be Brandon Nimmo leading it off for the Mets. Brandon Nimmo. Please keep on going higher and higher, away off the screen. All right. Here's the pitch. Let's bring in Vizcaíno. Don't have him written down, so I'm gonna have to write him in. His name is Aradis Vizcaíno. It's a right-hander. And that's a 7 in play 46. In play 46, that's going to take us into the out range, and that's going to be popped up to the left side. Swanson, captain of the infield, calls for it and makes the catch, so 1 down. Next is Jay Bruce. That's a 6. That's going to be a tough pitch, 45. A tough 45 is a line drive base hit for Bruce, his 3rd hit of the game. He's got 2 singles and a double. 2 singles and a double, so Bruce is on at second base. I'm sorry, he's on at first base with a single, and it's Kevin Plawecki. It's going to be a 6, rather a 12, and that's wheelhouse. A 0-6 wheelhouse is a deep drive for Plawecki. And Ciari back to the track, looks up, and it's out of here. Plawecki, a 2-run shot, gives the Mets a 4-1 lead. And Dominic Smith now. Vizcaíno wishes he had that pitch back. Got that fastball got a little bit too much of the plate, and Plawecki, who has good power, bats 5th for the Mets, stroked that to the center field bleachers, and that's an 8. Tough pitch, 61, and that's a strikeout. So Smith goes down on strikes. Out number 2. And next is Luis Guillorme. It's an 11. That's patient. 52. A patient 52 is ball 4. Patient 52 is ball 4. And next is Rosario with 2 outs. The pitch from Vizcaino. It's a 6. That's a tough pitch. A 0-0. That's going to be a rare play. An 8. An 8 rare play with runners on base. Pitcher with a wild pitch rating of 30-31, and he does. And that's going to be a wild pitch. That's going to get Guillorme to second base. Excuse me. Ahmed Rosario. Guillorme's on at second. And that's a 7. That's in play. And that's a 52. And in play 52 takes us to the out range. And that's going to be popped up to the right side. First baseman Freeman calls it, makes the catch. So Robert Gazelman got a 3-run lead right now. 3-run lead. It's going to be Suzuki. And that's a 12. That's a wheelhouse for Suzuki in 95. He's a right-hander. That's going to be in play. I'm going to pull a card for him. An in-play 90 takes us into the out. That's a ground ball to Rosario. Guns it to first. 1 away. Next is going to be Culverson. Culverson struck out 3 times. And that's a 2. That's a tough pitch. 77. Tough 77. It's going to be a ground ball. Hit a Guillorme. Guillorme flips to first. Out number 2. And we're 1 out away from a Met victory. And deGrom goes 11-1 in our 2.0 replay. And that's a 9. That's a tough pitch. A 96. And that's going to take us into the out. That's a fly ball to right. Bruce under it. Makes the catch. Game over. Mets win it. Adios. Hasta la vista. deGrom goes 11-1. In our last replay, he was 18-2. And in reality, at this point in the season, I believe he was 4-2. He lost this game, actually. Pitched very, very well, but lost the game. I think he left with a 1-run lead, if memory serves me, and the bullpen wasn't able to hold it. And that happened in more often than not between the Met offense not scoring for him last year and the bullpen not holding small leads, 2-run leads, 1-run lead.